Hey everybody, it's Jim here, and today I'm going to be making the case for why you should consider owning a Paul Reed Smith CE24, something like this guy right here. I'm going to be going over some of the pros, some of the cons, some of my experiences, and what I do love about this instrument. Now, the ground rules are the same as the other videos in this kind of mini series. There's not going to be any playing of this specific guitar. If you are interested in hearing this guitar being demoed properly, you could check right up here. I did a full video on it, and I featured it in several other videos on this channel. I'm sure you're not going to have any shortage of YouTube videos featuring a model like this. It's very, very popular. All right, to start things out here, I think it's only fair I give you some background as to why I like these guitars so much and why it was such an easy transition for me to start playing these guitars. And that has to do with the fact that for probably 2 decades, I mainly played Fender guitars, Stratocasters, Jazzmasters, and Telecasters. And there was something about Gibsons and other guitars that had 2 humbuckers in them. I'm not sure if it was just necessarily the weight of them, the sheer ergonomic comfort of them, because some of those old designs can be a little bit cumbersome to play, like Les Pauls, especially standing up for long sets. This guitar is the perfect guitar for somebody who has a Tele, somebody who has a Strat and wants to add 2 humbuckers but have a very familiar feel to it. And part of the reason it does feel so familiar is you do have really good upper fret access here at the bottom of the instrument, but also the fact that the scale length falls in between, leaning more towards the Gibson compared to a Fender. Fender is a 25.5-inch scale length. The Paul Reed Smith is a 25. Gibson typically 24 3/4. And while you would be extremely fortunate to find a CE24 that is very similar in weight to a Telecaster, on average these weigh about as much as a Strat, so it's pretty much like for like. And speaking of feeling very similar to a Stratocaster, you do get a very, very solid vibrato system built into this guitar that is very familiar to a traditional Stratocaster as opposed to something like a Floyd Rose. Now, if you're somebody that's a minimalist and likes things really simple, this is another guitar that is extremely easy to get used to. You have one universal volume, you have one 3-way toggle switch, you have your one master tone that has a push-pull on it. And to me, one of the greatest things about this guitar specifically, and it has to do with the way that these pickups are voiced, this guitar in coil split is actually extremely believable. There are many guitars that offer coil splits from various brands. For me, I feel like Paul Reed Smith has to be in the top 2 of that conversation when they're using American-made Paul Reed Smith pickups for getting a very usable and pleasing single coil-ish kind of tone. And when it comes to the tones that you can get from this guitar due to the fact that the coil split is as good as it is, this guitar can cover almost any single genre you throw at it. So if you're playing in a cover band where it can really vary on the songs that you're going to be playing, maybe you don't have to switch out guitars if you have something like this, because it really can go from that super gritty, grindy 80s lead rock sounds to cleaning up extremely well and getting those convincing Fender single coil leads. And another reason I believe this is truly one of the best gigging guitars that you can buy is because it is extremely stable. Yes, these are the import tuners from the SE line. Yes, this is the import bridge from the SE line. However, when it's set up correctly, you don't have to worry about tuning problems because this guitar really can handle anything you're going to throw at it, and it's going to do it reliably. And you can really count on it, and I appreciate that. Now, I just named off a lot of pros of this guitar because, quite frankly, it is an excellent guitar. However, there are a few cons, mainly 2. The first being the price itself that these sell for new. $2,500. Now, when you're paying $2,500, they do get the extremely important things right here. The fretwork on Paul Reed Smith guitars is exceptionally consistent. These guitars play really well. There's not going to be these kinds of problems that other brands that charge in a very similar price category made in America, they suffer from those, and they have suffered from those for quite some time. It's nice to not have to worry about that, but at the same time, at least those guitars are coming with really nice hard shell cases, and they're also coming with much better hardware. Now, I mentioned that this hardware is fully functional, but when these guitars were new for $19,000 or $2,000, I didn't have that much of a problem when it came to these being the SE tuners on the entry-level Paul Reed Smith guitars made in Indonesia and the SE Bridge. But now that they're hitting the prices they are, it's something that has to be taken into account. And another potential con is if you're solely relying on this guitar in a recording environment to nail those Fender single coil tones. It definitely has its own vibe going on, but it's never gonna match the real thing in that aspect. But I will acknowledge it is difficult to blame some of these companies given the fact that the prices of pretty much everything have risen exponentially. And it's not just the things that go into building a guitar. You have to consider all the shipping of all of the parts going from one place to another, and then the labor that's involved in putting these things together and making sure that you are getting a consistently high quality, ready to go product straight out of the box. And that's one thing that I praise Paul Reed Smith guitars in general for. It doesn't matter at what level you're buying it from. If you buy one of these brand new that hasn't been sitting in a Guitar Center and been abused by multiple people trying it out, it's a guitar you could take out to gig the same day that you get it. So if I was in the market for one of these guitars, I would recommend that you shop at Dave's Guitar Shop. You can get one of these ones, mint condition, $1,500 plus tax, free shipping when you go that way. Or if you want one that has a mahogany neck, this one has a maple neck on it, and that's standard for the CE24 models. Those are $1,595. I think if you could save $1,000, then you really can't complain as much when it comes to the hardware and the bridge and the lack of a hard shell case. But for me, if I was doing it, that's how I would go about it. But if you're somebody who's just doing some research right now or kicking the tires, not sure of what you want, if you are somebody who has one guitar that you hold really dear, maybe it's not the most versatile thing in the whole world, you pick up one of these guitars, maybe you don't need to purchase 3 or 4 other guitars because this gets you 95% of the way there for a lot of those other classic tones. Not many instruments can do that, and not many instruments can do that convincingly and play fantastic on top of that. But that's all I have for you guys today. In the comments down below, let me know what you think about the CE24. If you found this helpful, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. That really does help me out. And also, big thank you to all the members of this channel. You guys really are the best, and you really give me that extra push to say, you know what? Keep going with these videos. I mean, I was going to do it anyways, but knowing that some people enjoy this content enough to become members of this channel, it really does mean a lot to me. So Evan, Ian, Matt, Rafa, and Larry, thank you all so much for all of your support. If you would like to join them in supporting this channel, there is a button under this video with a label says join. Check it out if you're so interested. Otherwise, just enjoy the videos. Until the next video, I will see you soon. Take it easy, everybody.